That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Alright guys, we are back with another Dynasty Fantasy Football video. Every time I make one of these videos, it just brings a smile to my face because I love talking Dynasty Fantasy Football. I promise y'all, I enjoyed these videos a million times more than the waiver wire videos for the redraft league, for the start-sit questions. I mean, this is what I want to cover. This is what we're going to be covering every single day this offseason. So if y'all have not already, please make sure you go down there, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and also leave a comment with what player you want me to cover next. A lot of y'all wanted to hear about Justin Jefferson, so we are going to be talking about him in this video. But guys, also before you leave that comment telling me what player you want me to talk about, please make sure you just click on the channel and then go through and see what videos of players we've already made, because a lot of y'all are asking me for T. Higgins, DeAndre Swift, and guys, we've covered a lot of these rookies already, and now it's time to jump in to the most impactful rookie of this 2020 NFL draft class, in my opinion. Guys, this is unreal with what we were seeing with Justin Jefferson, and let's dive in. Okay, so first, Justin Jefferson, we all know he came out of LSU, was drafted in the first round with the 22nd pick overall, and now he is currently 21 years old. He was one of the youngest players in the 2020 NFL draft class. So that essentially tells you that with Justin Jefferson, yes, you're kind of assuming that he may be a little bit raw because of his absurdly young age coming into the draft. And you would think maybe he needs a little bit more time than these other guys like a Van Jefferson, who's like 3 or 4 years older than him, to really get acclimated to the NFL. Well, guys, that has not been the case at all. I mean, Justin Jefferson has came in and provided us some historic production, and now let's dive into how impressive this actually has been. Okay, so with Justin Jefferson, he is currently averaging a little over 4 receptions a game, but what is incredible is his efficiency marks. Guys, on those targets that he is seeing, he's actually averaging over 14 yards a target, and he's averaging 78 yards a game. I mean, guys, let's go back into this. He is averaging 14 yards per target and 78 yards per game. How many wide receivers have done this in the past? Let's look at how many rookie wide receivers have done this. So let's zoom back and let's just say, okay, let's call it 14 yards a target and 70 receiving yards a game, just so we can maybe get a little bit more people in the sample. Okay, so if we bring his numbers down to 14 yards per target and all the way down to 70 yards per game, Justin Jefferson is the only rookie to have ever accomplished this. I mean, what are we talking about here? And now if we actually have to drop these numbers further to finally get some players in the sample size, if we drop them down to 10 yards per target and 70 yards per game and look at the entire history of the NFL to see what rookie wide receivers were able to accomplish 10 yards a target and 70 yards a game, the list is 4 guys: Julio Jones, Odell Beckham Jr., Randy Moss, and Justin Jefferson. Guys, absolutely absurd, this list right here. And that's by significantly decreasing Justin Jefferson's efficiency, just so we see some other players in that range. I mean, I think it is safe to say at this point through 8 games, if Justin Jefferson continues this mark of efficiency throughout his entire rookie season, that he has accomplished the most impressive rookie season that we have ever seen at the wide receiver position. More impressive than Randy Moss, more impressive than Odell Beckham Jr., more impressive than Julio Jones. Of course, it's going to be a tall task for him to continue with these numbers, but it is possible. This is a wide receiver that is so young. It did not even really come onto the scene until week 3, where I think it is in the range of outcomes for him to continue these marks. And now let's zoom out a little bit further, and let's just say, let's not even look at rookies. Let's just look at wide receivers in NFL history who have been able to accomplish 75 yards a game and 14 yards per target. Okay, this is the list, guys. Justin Jefferson, that is it, guys. He is putting up one of the most efficient wide receiver seasons we have ever seen at the position, and he is 21 years old. So I think while we are evaluating Justin Jefferson, this is a wide receiver that, yes, he does not necessarily play on the type of offense that we want to see, with Kirk Cousins not necessarily airing the ball out consistently, but it does not matter. He is the talent of a wide receiver that demands top 10 attention. I think that we could make the argument that if he continues this pace throughout his entire rookie season, he is already a top 5 Dynasty Fantasy Football wide receiver. Obviously, we're going to have to see how the next 8 weeks play out for him. But let me go through and let me tell y'all that in all of our Flock Patreon leagues, guys, real quick, if y'all are not a member of the Flock on Patreon, I'm sure y'all will be soon. This is the way that y'all go through, get all your questions answered. This is the way that you support the show, where we keep ads off the show. And on top of that, y'all make it where y'all are able to just come in and participate in all the Dynasty leagues that we run year round. Anyway, we went over to all of our Dynasty Fantasy Football Patreon leagues, and I started sending out some offers for Justin Jefferson. Here, I'll tell you some offers. One, I sent Julio Jones straight up for Justin Jefferson. I sent all these about 5 minutes ago, so I don't know if any of these are going to get accepted. We will see. I'm trying to figure out a price point that makes sense for Justin Jefferson with what owners are willing to sell out. Now, with Julio Jones for Justin Jefferson, that's a no-brainer trade for me. I think Justin Jefferson's probably going to average anywhere from 3 to 4 less points per game throughout the rest of the 2020 season. And I can guarantee you one thing, even if Justin Jefferson tears his ACL tomorrow, this offseason, he's still going to be worth more than Julio Jones. And now, we also sent Derrick Henry for Justin Jefferson and Denzel Mims. This is another example of me being aggressive in targeting Justin Jefferson because I think he is going to be a top 20 startup pick this offseason. Guys, he is proven to be a historic talent already at 21 years old. I highly advise for you to go and send some extremely aggressive offers in your Dynasty Fantasy Football League, because I promise you, once we get to the offseason, once everyone really starts hyper-focusing in on what we saw from these players in 2020, a lot of people are going to be looking around and going, oh my God, Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the NFL. I mean, people are going to be saying that if he continues this amount of efficiency. So please go send some aggressive offers right now. Another trade I sent was in a Superflex league. Y'all know all of our Patreon Dynasty Fantasy Football leagues are Superflex. I offered Russell Wilson for Justin Jefferson and Tua. I think that's another very aggressive trade that has a shot at getting done. Guys, that's the theme of this video. Aggressively trade for Justin Jefferson. I cannot wait till we get some more Dynasty Fantasy Football Patreon leagues going this offseason to see where he goes in those startup drafts, because I would not be surprised if he is a very early second round pick or very end of the first, depending on what his efficiency looks like for the rest of the year. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, if y'all did, please make sure you go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps us out.